Hey, welcome to the TestGuild Automation Podcast, belated annual Halloween special that was supposed to be released last week, but I mixed up the release date, so I'm releasing it now. But the info here will help you fight spooky automation all year round. And today we'll be joined trick-or-treating with Paul Grossman and Larry Goddard. If you don't know, Paul has been the dark arts wizard of test automation since 2001. He's worked with WinRunner, C++, Selenium, and Java, WebDriver IO, and a bunch of other tools as well. And most recently, he has been helping a supply chain management company test their applications as well. Also, Larry is the creator of Classy.js and the test automation architect at Oxford University Press. Prior to joining Oxford University Press, he's worked with a bunch of different other companies like a major airline, a leading software testing company, and two major telecommunication companies. He's also acted as a technical advisor to a major fashion house and an expert witness to a leading international law firm. So he knows a lot of things. He's also a speaker at many testing events. So really excited to have Larry and Paul join us for today's show. So tighten up your cloaks, lighten your jack-o'-lanterns, and prepare your potions. We're about to embark on a journey through the mist-shrouded paths of automation testing. If you dare, hit the subscribe and summon this podcast on your device every time we release a new episode. So let the haunting, the learning, begin. This episode of the TestGuild Automation Podcast is sponsored by the TestGuild. TestGuild offers amazing partnership plans that cater to your brand awareness, lead generation, and thought leadership goals. Get your products and services in front of your ideal target audience. Our satisfied clients rave about the results they've seen from partnering with us, from boosted event attendance to impressive ROI. Visit our website and let's talk about how TestGuild can take your brand to the next level. Head on over to testguild.info and let's talk. Hey guys, welcome to the Guild.
Hey, Joe, how are things?
Great.
Pleasure.
Good to see you, Larry. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Joe. Great to be back. This is always my favorite tradition.
It is, for sure.
It's the celebrating Halloween.
Absolutely. So I thought we'd start off with just a little bit of maybe reminiscing on maybe your most ghostly glitches that you've encountered. So have you ever encountered a ghost bug that appeared or disappeared and then reappeared? And how did you manage to capture or find it with automation? I'll give Larry time to think about this because Paul's ready to go.
I do. I don't know if I've mentioned the story before, but I did work for a floral delivery company. And one of the things we were testing was the reset of a password. And what we found was that occasionally the password web page would crash, and sometimes the password page would be perfectly fine. And what they were doing is they were generating a brand new password for the user, and the requirement said use the ASCII characters in order to generate a new password. Now, the problem is that the password that was being generated, you might think the issue might be it actually used 128 characters. So it could be spaces, it could be non-printable characters, it could be a bell. But this wasn't the major issue. What I figured out was that it would also generate occasionally, sometimes, a square angle bracket to the left or an angle bracket to the right, and the DOM page would interpret that as the beginning or end of a web page tag, effectively crashing the page. So that was a ghost that would pop up, go away, and took me a little while to replicate it.
Very nice. How about you, Larry?
I don't think my ghost is as good as Paul's ghost, but I remember, back in the day, I was working for this company, and it's all about, we was doing this automation. One of the things was, I would write this script, I would have this script running, and it would work. It's one of those things, it would work locally, but it wouldn't work in the CI environment. So you're trying to figure out why, because everything sets the same. And what we get to realize was the window view setting was being carried over. It written and it had coded to carry over. When it got over there, for some strange reason, it was reading it the other way around.
Oh my gosh, that is diabolical.
So everything, so it was a little nightmare to figure out why. And in the end, we realized the way Ruby was interpreting it, it was reading height and then width as opposed to width and then height. And that was a nightmare.
Nice.
Oh.
Awesome. So I thought we'd go over some other haunting experiences you might have had. And let me know if you have any other questions you want me to ask. But I thought we'd start off, with the staying on theme here. So if you could brew a magic potion to instantly solve one major issue in test automation, what ingredients would it contain? Let's start with you, Larry.
Interesting. Let me see. Ingredients. First, I'll throw in classy JS in the pot.
Nice.
Then since I hanging out with Paul, I started to learn some very weird stuff. So then, throwing classy JS inside there, and because it have a lot of bits and pieces in there, and then what we're gonna do is get some cobwebs, little spider cobwebs, chop them in the pot there, and some what do you call it? Ice, hot ice, dry ice, throw them in there, so get that brew going nice and lovely, and stir them all up, add a little bit of from frog legs, some AI stuff and get thrown in there, and then mix it up a little bit, and then voila, and you'll have it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able here to, when a test is run, it will take it and say, oh, this test run, where did this test come from? Oh, it came from here, and it will go across there and say, oh, I like you, and write all the other tests that you're so required to be run inside here. So that will be my the test generator. Yes, it will now be called the AI test generator for Classy.
Delicious. Sounds awesome. Paul?
All right. My magic brew would have basically two ingredients in there. First of all, we'd have self-healing objects. We would be having our zombie objects. If they were dead, if they were stale, they'd be coming back to life. Being able to find them. Generally, what happens is it's a change in the ability of in the actual makeup of the object. It's become some other class, so it's changed like from a link anchor to a button anchor. We'd be able to do that, bring that back so we can reduce our maintenance. And the second thing we've been doing is looking for elements that are have located off screen. We're trying to send a click to them, and they're generating a click intercepted issue. And we would basically mix into that a scroll on the view in order to get that element on page, and again reduce the chances of that particular error being thrown.
Nice. Just so people know, we didn't think of these questions right on the spot. You guys are quick. I didn't even know I'm hitting you with things that I didn't think you'd be able to answer right away. So that's awesome. That's kind of scary in itself, but that shows how you're like warlocks of automation. So I love it. So I guess the next scary question is, how do you cast a spell to ensure the quality of your automated test?
Well, for me, I'll tell you is that one of the things I heard just a couple of weeks back talking with one of my managers, he actually asked me, can you run the automation, the script, the smoke, and the regression more often than every release? And I actually told him, I said, we actually run it nightly. Every night, every morning, I get up, I look at my results, and I can see a historical grade of showing, hey, how much green do I have? Or did everything go red? We don't really actually look once every sprint, every 2 or 3 weeks. It's just a bad idea. Every morning, just looking at it and seeing, is things going in the right direction? Is things going awful? And that's the best advice I can give.
Yeah, I mean, to say likewise for me, I think that's one of the best advice. But in staying with the theme of scariness, I think what I want to do or try to do one day is because my test is run just like Paul, so I have it run then every night, and after the test run, they generate, and every 4 o'clock every morning, it fires off an email to all concerned from all the different projects. And what I want to try and do, and I don't know if I could pull this off, is get it that when the email come out, anything that fail, it must create, one of them marching band with the big clashing. Yeah, so once it fail and it come in, it must echo this big clash across. So something failed the night before. But like Paul say, yeah, it's one of the best way to check that your testers is running and you have some quality there to see the results and improve on them.
Joe, I was going to say to piggyback on that, something else we had done recently was we actually don't send emails updates, because you get a whole bunch of those being into your email inbox, and you start to ignore it. What we found was really successful is we actually send messages over to Slack. We had our own personal Slack channel. And the great thing about this is that, when you launch a regression suite, it may take 20 minutes, it might take 2 hours, it might take 6 hours to finish, and you forget that you launched it 6 hours ago. What's great about this on our Slack channel is it would highlight. And once it highlights, like, oh, hey, the cookies are done. And then you go click on it, see, okay, who ran the test? Oh, it's got my name on it. It was a smoke test, and it is now done. And I go back to check it out. So it wouldn't be, out of mind, out of sight. I could immediately follow up on exactly what my results are and be up to speed in real time.
Nice. It also sounds like a way you can make it so your developers don't become zombies when there's a failure in your test because you're alerting them.
Yeah. That definitely.
Thank you very much. So,
the guy looking for me for my mortgage payment. That's what.
The most terrifying thing a lot of testers are afraid of lately is AI. And I guess everyone's been hearing about ChatGPT, generative AI. So curious to get your thoughts on, is this going to be really like a vampire that's going to suck the blood of all the testers and they're going to go away and no longer have jobs? What are your thoughts on ChatGPT, I guess, and generative AI in general, Larry?
For me personally, I think it wouldn't. I mean, the short answer is you will not lose your job. That's the short answer. Well, incoming, I think it is, and it will be a real addition to your toolkit. You could get to do a lot of stuff, and it could generate code for you. I mean, you could test data, especially. I personally like it for generating test data. We have a lot of data to produce. You can get it to do that. If you pass in the right parameters, it will give you back a good lot of data for there. And also, in terms of help in writing some of your base code, I like to call it pseudocode, where you might have to do a little change state, then that is good. It's really good. But you won't lose your job. That's one thing. What I would say is, I think that people should, especially the developers and the automated QAs, they should embrace it and use it as a tool to enhance what they're doing, and help them saving time in doing in writing a lot of stuff. Like I say, data generation, writing different functions for things. It helps. Paul?
I can agree with that. One of the things I was looking at was trying to replicate something I did with UFT about 15 years ago, which was to have an independent console window that pops up and you can send stuff to that rather than having the console window in the IDE. And I had no idea how to do it. And then I asked ChatGPT, like, hey, can you figure this out? And it produced, in 10 seconds, 12 lines of code that I could go and create this. I love that. I love that you can use it to give you ideas on optimizing your methods and suggestions on that. Obviously, we got ChatGPT, got Copilot out there. I will also tell people, if you're concerned that the Terminators are coming from this thing, this is the test that you can do. Ask ChatGPT or any one of those AI things out there to solve the current day's Wordle. Ask it for 5 letters, and the third letter is an A. And usually it can't figure that out. If it can't get past the Wordle, it can't solve that for you, I don't think it's coming to take over the world. It's going to have a hard problem. On one of the recent sessions I did with Larry and one of the other guys we were talking with, he mentioned a thing called Pi AI. I only mentioned it here because it was funny because I'd never heard of it. I looked at it, I started asking it questions, and I swear the thing started flirting with me. It was just asking me all sorts of questions, telling me I was really interesting, and I'm like, this thing wants to date me. I don't know. This is my wife will be very unhappy with this thing.
Well, you cheating on me with another podcaster? You all did another episode, Paul? That's what I'm more upset about.
I didn't mention their name.
Nice. Okay. So, Larry, I heard Vampire told me that he heard that you're taking a course on AI. So, actually studying it a little more in detail, is there anything that you were surprised by or surprised to learn and how you could apply it to testing or how it may not apply to testing?
I think one of the things that I wouldn't say surprise, but one of the things that kind of like show itself is all the government, and I quote, the government stuff that is going on, with the technology. And one of the things that is concerning is about regulations. And that's one of the things that coming out of this course on with doing the whole AI program. It's about how they're going to regulate it and what they're going to do. And case of point is where America at the moment decide to put some trade embargo on sending chips to China, because of that whole thing. And that's one of the things about it. And from what I think my argument, not argument per se, but my take on it is, why try to regulate the technology? Why don't you just regulate what the people do with the technology? That would be so easier to regulate, because here, let's say, one company A writing regulation, company B doing it, country A, B, C, D. They all write in regulations, but who is there to say how should we match all this together to come with one nice regulation that will regulate the whole thing? And somebody make a point like it could be like the financial industry, but then you have an issue with that, and the issue with that is this is something that is learning. This is something that is, generally learning, and it's learning, and the more data you feed it, the better it gets. How could you regulate it like it's, like numbers on a page? Yeah, but that was one of the things that came out of it that is like mind-blowing for me.
Can get very crazy and creepy for sure, I think, where we're going. So good things to think about, though, ethics and how it affects regulations, that they're not going overboard with things that aren't even going to help, for sure. So I'm always wondering, I know you both are always messing around with different frameworks, different automation tools. Is there anything you could do to help unlock the spooky superpowers of a hybrid frameworks like WebDriver IO? I heard there may be something in the works to help with this. Any thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, Larry and I are actually working on a book. We're just finishing up the last bits of it. It's got a little bit of a superhero theme that allows you to unlock your mutant powers as a test automation engineer. And we have a whole bunch of little secrets and of how to make things better and faster implemented into your framework. We're doing it in WebDriver IO. That's Christian Broman's tool out there, which is a fantastic tool. By the way, a little update on him. His support has changed. It's actually, their support is sitting on Discord these days. So if you need to get some information on that and you're looking for it, check that out. Larry, anything else you want to tell about our book that we're working on there?
Yeah, I mean, just one of the things about it, but because I have the superhero team, I decided today to show the audience what a superhero look like. Like, look at this. Like right now, I'm Larry Goddard, also short for Larry G. But look at this, Superman.
That's oh gosh.
I'm the automation Batman. Vengeance.
I mean, it's all about the superhero thing, they just that's just my hat and my glasses, and boom, I'm Superman. And well, in terms, I mean, doing, I think that's one thing. Doing the book with Paul, I think it brought out some of my creativeness. Like it have somebody, and I'll give this a little secret. I'll put there, this whole switch statement. You're writing on switch, so in case of X, in case of It was so funny. Paul, I'm looking at the code, and Paul was saying something, and I realized, wait a minute, we could do this better. And so said, so done. So I came up with a unique, nice little way to get around it and write switch statements out using switch statements.
Okay.
I was blown away by it. And by the way, just to also let you know, ChatGPT did not come up with that approach in any way. People giving me advice. Go ahead, Larry.
I mean, and I think what I want to say is one of the things is that, and Paul had this thing, he had a question, and I would let him elaborate on it. It was about soft assertion. And he has been asking up and down the community how to get this done. And let Paul tell you about it.
So, yeah. One of the things that has always bothered me is I'll ask about soft assertions where, you're failing one validation out of 5 on a page. If the first one fails, the other 4 don't get anything done on them. And I'm not crazy about it. Soft assert says, hey, I'm going to validate each one of these. and at the end I'll do a cert all and give you a search of results on that. And when I've asked about that on things, like our website for support of coding, which will come to me in a moment, the answer I've always gotten back is no. That's not the way we do it. It's not. Why would anyone do it? All my friends don't do this soft assert, so why? I'm never crazy about an answer like that on something. So I decided I wanted to make sure that people understand how you can do it, the way you can do it, and why it's a good benefit. And I think that's a really good example. Just 5 elements on one page. If you fail at that point, there may be no point moving on to the next page. I did also want to mention that our publisher is Pack Publishing, and they make wonderful books like A Front-End Web Developer's Guide to Testing from Aaron Kinsmer, who's also a wonderful friend of mine. And they also do books like Robotic Process Automation, which I actually bought these. I didn't get them for free, but I do read them. And every book I've got, I don't have any PDFs. I go and support our authors. I buy them out there. In fact, I have a wonderful book over here called the UFT API Testing Manifesto, if you're still using UFT, written by this guy named Joe Colantonio. I think it's still out there being published, so go and get that. I don't know who your publisher is, so I'm not going to mention that. I don't want to get in trouble with my own publisher.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, in train out there, you see, and I think we solved the problem. We solved the whole problem with source of truth. We did it. Yeah, we did it. So now you can actually despite what everybody have said to Paul over the thing, Paul reach out, and in the process, I'm saying, hey, we could do that. Don't worry about it. We could fix that. And yeah, it's now. So now you can have 15 assertion on a page, and it will run through all of them. It will not kill the process. It will check all of them, and then it will spit a report out there, say, oh, the 14th one failed, or the second and the third one failed. So now it will actually do them. Yeah, pass, fail, pass, and it will not shut the test down because an assertion, just one little assertion failed. So that's a little part of some of the stuff that coming out that we put inside the book there, so that people could understand that you don't actually, despite the fact that the big people, the big names like Selenium and WebDriver, although we're using them, saying it can be done and they're not supposed to do for what, it could be done, and we're doing it.
Awesome. So when it comes to tools, it's almost like Halloween costumes. There's so many to choose, and everyone has a reason why they chose it. So why write a book on WebDriver IO?
Well, I was working on a project in JavaScript, and I wanted to learn TypeScript. I was told, hey, TypeScript is the thing you got to learn if you're a Java person. TypeScript actually has all its elements typed in there, and I thought that would be the next level to go to. So that's what interested me in starting that. I started last year when I was out of a job and had nothing to do. Very similar as I am today. I'm in the same spot. I've got all day long, all my time, and all of it dedicated to finishing up this last chapters on the book. That was basically the reason I wanted. It was just to learn something else, just to get my personal growth going on and learn something.
Yeah, for me, it was, I reused it as well as, I have Classic JS, and when I developed it, it was all about Node, and I was looking and I looked at what it had. It had Nightwatch and all these other ones out there to use, but then I started looking at, just by searching, I got to hear about WebDriver IO, and I took a look at it and I realized, wait a minute, these people do exactly what I want. They build a nice little wrapper around Selenium, and literally build a wrapper around it and make it all there for the whole JavaScript community. It works perfect. So I took that, and from using that, I started to realize, yeah, this is what it is for me, and it have everything in there. So the idea is, and I choose WebIO because it's like it's like a framework that you could do most things in. You could do component testing in there. You could do, mobile testing from it, end-to-end, the normal end-to-end stuff. So that's what made me, attracted to it. So I just literally take Classic JS, build it around WebDriver IO, and add other bits to it, and it all works seamlessly from inside it. So that's why I choose it, because you have all the things there readily under the hood for you.
Very nice. So when could people get their hands on this book to help fight spooky scenarios they might encounter with WebDriver IO or automation in general?
I'd say reach out to Pack Publishing. It should be it's Halloween right now. I think it should be released probably at the end of September. We'll be promoting this, out on LinkedIn and Twitter or X, and if you're on Threads, whatever, reach out to me. The Dark Arts Wizard at Gmail. Or Larry, reach out to Larry. He's also on LinkedIn.
Yeah. But I think realistically we're looking at, like we say, maybe end November. I think end November, December time, and somewhere around there, it should be coming out. So you know what that means, Joe? That means I could come and rub shoulders with you as a publisher, as an author. Who knows? Maybe next time I decide to. And I want things, I kind of I have to say I am very appreciative of Paul, because it's he who started to write this book, and he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to co-author it with him. And yeah, after a bit of I decided why not. So yeah.
Larry's been great because he's basically been he kind of pushes me and gets me to get back into this whole thing. As an automation engineer, I will admit I'm a little lazy and learning a whole bunch of new stuff. And this experience itself, I learned about NPM, and then when I hooked up with Larry's like, no, man, you got to use Yarn. And I was like, that's great. And then 3 weeks ago, one of the things that went hot was Bun. Bun is fantastic. Let's go use Bun to do this. And Larry's like, what'd you tell me, Larry, about Bun?
And like I say, like I always say, it's all about the hype. Bun come out. Oh, there was Paul already ready to jump in and use Bun to do everything. And I'm like, no, that is just hype. Don't take it on. Or what? Forget about it.
We got 15 chapters. Let's go change all of them.
2 weeks after that conversation. 2 weeks after that conversation, there it is. Bun is useless. It cannot do anything. I mean, yeah, literally 2 weeks after that conversation with me and Paul, it's all over the internet. How Bun is useless. All the hype is crap.
It didn't live up to what it was out there.
Yeah, I think we need to get away. I think one of the things we need to do, Sean, I think that's what the book doing as well. We're trying to get away from all the hype, and you're using things that have a community behind it. And so that if you're stuck with something, you actually have a community that you can go to and get a rapid response, as opposed to you've put something out there and days on end you're waiting for somebody to get back to you to use it. And that's one of the good things with WebDriver. The community is very strong. So it's easy to get a thing in hours, sometimes in minutes, as opposed to days.
Nice. Were you able to write a book where you don't have to resurrect it every year because it changes? Like, how evergreen did you make the book so that people don't have to, get holy water and a crucifix after a year or two to get things to work the way you had it written?
You see, and there we go. That's the next thing with me and Paul. I said to him, I said, look, if we're going to write a book and we have, we have code inside there and we have code snippets that will run in real time, what we need to do is we need to do some stuff. And that was another thing with Paul. Paul had this lovely concept of, as soon as it comes out, yes, that is what we must use. I say, no, Paul, we don't do that. Because what will happen is, we write the book today. And that was exactly what I said. We write the book today. And 2 years down the road, somebody will realize, oh, here's the book. Let me get this code. And it just wouldn't work. Why? Because everything have changed as we go along. So it wouldn't work. I say, let's fix that one time. If somebody pick up this book 10 years from now, they must be able to check this code out and it must still work.
I hope so. We actually test against 3 websites. We've got the generic, one of the generic ones, the internet, Haiku. That's not the right one. What is it? The internet was where they've got just basic stuff. Then we're looking at some of the actual companies that do give us actual objects and interacting with those. And then lastly, I've got the Candy Mapper website, which is backed by GoDaddy. So we actually interact and play with a lot of different environments to try and make this thing flexible to all that stuff. And you do also make a good point. I started this a year ago, and then 2 weeks ago, I'm like, what's this whole thing getting excited about Chrome for testing? Great, now I got to figure that out. And I got to update my first or second chapter to get that all set up. But that's a great feature that I think people have been talking about is that Chrome for testing now automatically keeps Chrome driver and Chrome in sync, and you don't have to go crazy with it.
Yeah, and so and then too, you're locking you're locking in all the nodes and all the modules you're pulling in from npm. You lock them in, so they may change over the years, but because this is a book and the code will be out there forever, literally, when you pull it, it will because we lock it in to those. We will be locking it into whatever is the latest at the point before the book get published. I will update it all to that particular thing and then just lock it there. And after that, you run it 2 years from now, and you'll just pull those versions of all those things, and it will still work. So we wouldn't have to throw holy water and mix up all this kind of thing on it straight away.
It's like a vampire will live forever. So I love it.
Something like exactly.
I have a vampire. Hang on a second. I only have like a minute or two left. But I do have a vampire. This is it right here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there he is.
It's an Amiga 600 vampire, and just like when you meet a real vampire in real life, the first thing you say is, "Wait, didn't you die like 40 years ago?" It's still working. It has a hypnotic glare. It actually outputs HDMI on there, and like a real vampire, it can transform into an Apple II GS, and it has all those games plus the Amiga games on it.
Wow, is it?
Share my
very
Okay,
scary.
Paul and Larry, before we go, is there one piece of actual advice you can give to someone to help fix their most scary automation testing efforts? And what's the best way to find or contact you? Let's start with Larry.
Okay, for me, what I would like to tell people is, don't believe the hype. And by that I mean always, a lot of things comes and goes. Always do some POCs, proof of concept, over, what you have, all this new stuff that come in, and all the new things you would hear about. Do POCs before you make a what you call an informed decision, as opposed to just making a decision. Oh, this is new. Let me use this because they say this, and you use it. Nah, do some POCs, and then you realize that a lot of it is hype. Point of concern, like we talked about a little earlier, Bun. Real hype that fizzled out to be nothing in the end. And things like that. And so, and also that you could contact me at LinkedIn, and I am on Twitter as well, and I'm on YouTube, and the handle remains the same, Larry G _01. So you can just find me all there. So you do on YouTube, you do at Larry G _01, you would find me. You're on Twitter. Oh, no, let me rephrase. Oh, sorry. You're on X, and you do Larry G _01, and I'll be there. And if you go to LinkedIn, I'm just Larry G. So there you can find me out and be in contact. And being the creator of Classy.js, and it's all out there. The link for that is Classy.js of course on GitHub is Classy.js /Classy.js. And you'll find it. It's just there.
Awesome. We'll have all these links in the show notes as well. And Paul?
All right, I'll give you my contacts, and then I have one last thing to wrap up with you guys, and we'll be out. My contacts, you can reach me on Twitter or X. You can see that I am Dark Arts Wizard on that, and I'm also on YouTube. That is Paul Grossman, the Dark Arts Wizard. You put all that stuff into a URL right after YouTube. You will find my stuff out there. I'm on Threads as well. Pretty much look around, see if there's Dark Arts Wizard. That's probably me. And the last bit of advice I can give for everybody is to be creative on your solutions and explore a whole bunch of tools. And the way that happens is like this. Here we go. Those tools might be Selenium, Cypress, WebDriver, IO, Windrunner, no longer a thing. UFT, though, had Joe's Manifesto, Apple Joe's Eyes, Visual Testing, Threads may unravel, JavaScript, time travels, await elements you see, TypeScripts like Java, no semicolon drama, Classy.js, the framework you need, testing was heaven 24/7 until Skynet found me, T800 arrived and now I survive, testing its code manually.
Thanks again for your automation awesomeness. The links to everything of value we covered in this episode, head on over to testguild.com/A472. And if the show has helped you in any way, why not rate it and review it in iTunes. Reviews really help in the rankings of the show, and I read each and every one of them. So that's it for this episode of the TestGuild Automation Podcast. I'm Joe, and my mission is to help you succeed with creating end-to-end full-stack automation awesomeness. As always, test everything and keep the good. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the TestGuild Automation Podcast. Head on over to testguild.com for full show notes, amazing blog articles, and online testing conferences. Don't forget to subscribe to the Guild to continue your testing journey.